See, I think I see it. There it is. Hey, we're live again. Welcome back to the watch list, where the two of us are gonna, well, kind of beat on some analysts today. Not just Kramer either. There's been some fun kind of liquidity provided by some of these analysts today, and we both noticed it. And then also, there's very little alpha to be had today. I mean, it's like there's nothing really we're interested in doing too much long in. But we're watching for some reversals in the short term and maybe some opportunities very quickly here. Um, I noticed in the heat strategy we had a kind of a few things that stuck out to me, and one of them mentioned the other day was Tesla, and today again. And I kind of have some mixed feelings about this, and then I'll kind of take your approach on it first, but then I wanted to kind of reiterate something that I heard come out of Elon's mouth not too long ago when he went to visit the
Oh,
Toyota headquarters. He was rattled. But essentially, I've been talking about this for a long time. Probably about a year or a year and a half ago, I mentioned that I thought Toyota was going to be interested in going forward with their hydrogen powered engine and then pairing it with hybrid technology. And now they told Elon they're kind of doing that. And he isn't disclosing any of their secrets because I'm sure there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. But the other part is that it can be run on multiple fuels, not just hydrogen. And then the way they're doing it, Elon's words were, "This could bring the EV era to an end," is what he said, more or less, about Toyota. That's pretty interesting. And they're partnered, not to mention Toyota is a pretty good stakeholder in Tesla. I almost wonder if in the near future we might see Elon start to say, hey, what about hybrid technology? I wonder if that's the case. I don't know if that could happen with Tesla, but it wouldn't take much to
so
gear it up.
yeah, I mean, interesting you mentioned that. So, I did our webinar last week. I think you were on, but if not, in preparing for it, I saw a headline that it was either BMW or Toyota, I forget which. Maybe it was Toyota. Had a breakthrough in hydrogen technology for engines. And I know
Yeah.
nothing about hydrogen technology for engines. So I threw that into ChatGPT and realized there are hydrogen fuel cells, and then there's like hydrogen that, you use hydrogen instead of gas.
Right.
And, you know, GPT couldn't figure out from a headline which they were using. It kind of assumed it was hydrogen fuel cells, which a breakthrough there. I mean, Elon may be onto something. It actually, there were a couple of companies. Plug Power was one, which is up today slightly. Can't remember the other one. Oh, Ballard Power. Interesting. Take a look at BLDP.
BLDT?
B as in boy, L as in Larry, D as in dog, P as in Paul. When did you see this? Was this today or was this?
This was I kind of watch a YouTube channel called Connecting the Dots, and this was something that came out vaguely in that, and then I went and looked at my YouTube feed where it just pops up random stuff that like you might be interested in. Um, and it I don't remember what other YouTuber it was, but it was just basically a look into Elon's visit to the Toyota headquarters to go into their research and development department and have a look. They wanted to show him something, and it rattled him, and that was the whole thing. Was that the fact that it rattled him was enough to speak volumes.
So I punched this all into GPT, and it told me the biggest potential winner was this Ballard.
Huh.
And and I mean, I didn't do anything with it, and it's gotten clobbered, but it's up big today. The news is it just got a big order from an Egyptian manufacturer.
That's interesting.
Plug Power was the other one. It wasn't nearly as high on Plug,
Plug
but
all along
that's
has been
also up today.
kind of tied into some of that stuff. And I'm looking at this BLDP, and it just reminds me that this is probably the beginning stage of accumulation after capitalization. Like if you look at the market structure thing, just all that capitalization flat for a while. If it was to curl up, it might be right around here. I might throw into this one. This one looks pretty interesting. Short term, it looks like we got a pretty good shot at a half back to about 133, 134. I'll put that down with a pivot here. Let's call it 134. And pretty obvious reversal was very quick with the news today, giving almost half back of the current trend here. So we are probably likely to see about 122 to 123 today. And actually, that's liquidity. Let's mark that with a box. Right there where those two candles are. I love penny stocks. They get to be so easy. You just look left.
Yeah, you know what? Screw it. I just bought some.
I might just throw some down too. Um,
I mean, I was looking at the options, and I'm like, it's $1.20.
yeah. Sell some puts. Just sell them in the money. I've done that before.
Oh, actually, yeah. I mean, this be an interest. I mean, you're not going to make any money on stuff. What are puts?
I mean,
I did November. Yeah, no, you don't make any money on those.
wheel trading would be kind of silly, and like intrinsically, if you sold them in the money, you might get like 3 to 5 cents a share for extrinsic value, which is almost worth it if you get assigned. But sometimes people just sit on those forever and never exercise them. So it
Yeah.
is what it is. I've done that in in the past with like some of the smaller EVs. I did that with Neo. I've done that with numerous different things where they were trading at like $3 or $4 or something like that, and just made a little bit of market value back on them and got a pretty good entry price. But that was kind of that. It wasn't all that spectacular. Um, at one point, I was wheel trading Neo and owned it for free for a little while. I'm like, well, that's good enough. It's paid me back. I
Yeah.
deployed my capital elsewhere. I kind of lost interest in it. But something like this, it would take a hell of a lot more options volume to really be worth doing in that. Plus, it would have to have decent weeklies, and it probably doesn't. But it might not be that way for long. So sometimes when you start seeing some interest in something like this and it starts to come climbing out of market structure, yeah, you can see some volume then. But for now, we'll just we'll run the equity plays. I like the fact that it also has some pretty well defined liquidity up here too, right at the resistance. So this just spells I'm going to accumulate and maybe eventually trend out of market structure all over it. That's pretty much what this says. This is the time. Maybe. As long as it doesn't have too many reverse splits, and I didn't see any. I didn't see any. I like that. It's pretty rare you see a penny stock that doesn't have a reverse split and a whole bunch of the CEO gets excited about a price spike and starts diluting it. No, not here.
Yeah.
Um, there was one I was trading earlier in the week that is like primed for CEO soaking because it's only got like 1.2 million shares in the free float and it was trading between like $1.50 and 2.80. Scalped that twice, but I'm out because I know that that's such a low float. That's just prime for soaking somebody. So I'll
Oh,
walk
yeah.
away from those. But this one I might keep for a little while. This looks pretty interesting to me. Yeah, I'll throw down some of that. Let me take a quick look at Plug while we're at it. We got some time.
Yeah, take a look.
Every time Kramer says sell it, it pops up. I haven't paid attention to Kramer in a long time, though. We did test support. We're right in the 130, 140 area. Close enough. We could see a little bit of a push above 160 and maybe start shooting for a reversion trade here to like 190. Might even spike like $2. That's got a pretty good play in it.
Yeah.
Pardon me, I had to cough. But Joe, I think we might have found a tiny bit of alpha in the market. It's pretty good.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right, let me grab another pivot line on that. I'm going to throw that right in here. That would probably make sense to run to about 198 for a scalp on the half back of this trend, just the low side of it. When it comes to market structure, it's not quite done yet, but it's starting to give us some play. So we might keep an eye on this one. Funny, we weren't even thinking of looking here, and here we are. We found something
There
fun.
we go.
This is called Look at the Themes and Find the Attachments. We'll find all the winners on this. We keep doing what we do, and it works out. All right, let me have a quick look at a couple other things real quick here. Let me get my list up. So another thing we love to watch is SPY and Q. QQQ has been like my primary source for. I chart QQQ and use the data on it to scalp the NQ futures and sometimes MNQ depending on what we're in the mood for. And this has been pretty obvious to me that we had the halfback pivot here at about 493. That's like if you take this entire trend from bottom to top, split it, that's the middle. Red line would be the low end of previous accumulation, which is right around 484-ish. If we touch that today, very likely we'll get the undercut and rally on the 200-day if we get there. If we haven't begun that already, there are some of the what we like to call the BTFD crew hanging out right at that 200, and you can see there's a nice long wick on the daily candle so far. Give us a hammer and a reversal here. Cool. We could get half back. 510. Yes, please. Till then, let this thing settle. Keep an eye on the larger equities, the Mag 7, and all the weight in the bunch. And eventually you'll find some alpha for a swing trade. For now, it's a scalper's market. And we've certainly been able to do a lot of that. Some of the shorts in here have been phenomenal, but we're starting to find support in this area. So be cautious if you're going to be trying to short Q and SPY here. That's a
Yeah,
dangerous
the
game.
easy money has been made here.
Yes. So it's time to start
What
considering.
what I would be doing though is I would be looking, to fade up moves, here and potentially in crypto. I
Right.
think it's going to depend. I think March 7th is the big meeting. I think it's going to depend what they say,
That's what's coming up.
but certainly I'd be looking to fade up moves in the market until we get a real trend change.
Yeah, shorten those relief rallies is like whack-a-mole. It's great. And then also you can play the VIX in a similar way. Just let it pop up and short it. Don't short it. Run puts. But yeah,
Yeah, no, don't short bets.
no, God no.
Yeah,
But
no, I'm running my short VIX ETF strategy in my personal account. Luckily, I decided to start testing it like a couple weeks ago. I think I'm up like 40%.
sweet. Nice.
Yeah, I mean that's been saving my ass. I did want to see what it looked like when the market was not doing anything, but I'll take
Right.
being up 40% over a good test.
Don't complain. No one will listen.
Yeah.
Bitcoin like follows through so beautifully with these measure move blocks. It's almost maniacally easy to just plot them out, and it went right to target, bounced right off support, came right back to resistance in the liquidity zone here. I remember calling out that 92 as a previous short target, and then once it broke that, it just ripped a measured move like plain as day, very quickly.
And also I think what's important there, and I wrote about this in Monday's newsletter, like I wouldn't buy Bitcoin here, is I mean they announced it on a Sunday. You
Right.
know, the weekend is when the big crypto guys, manipulate the market. So I mean, was it a mistake they announced it on a Sunday? Was it random or was it on purpose? Who knows?
It almost feels
But
on
also,
purpose.
well, yeah. And if you read the executive order does not say, hey, we're going to create this Bitcoin reserve and go out in the open market and buy Bitcoin. It's, stuff we confiscate, we'll throw in here. So, I mean, that's not bearish, but it's not like, that's not being ravingly bullish either. So that was way too much of a move, given what was going on. And I think it was basically because it was Sunday.
Howard Greenberg just sent me a comment on YouTube here that says, "My sources say he will announce no capital gains on crypto sales." That would make sense. Um, it'd be cool. We
Yeah.
can't like gamble on that, but we know that price action's pretty clean with Bitcoin, so it would kind of follow through with hit the low point, kind of buy the rumor, sell the news, maybe spike one more relief rally, and we'll see where we go. So it's great for day trading, great for swing trading, but yeah, pay attention to what the weekend uh, heavyweights start saying when they start, pulling a Kramer and saying this and that about things. We get a Kramer bar. It's just liquidity, guys. That's all, every time we hear an analyst say something, it's like, well, let's look at the chart and let's see what would who and what would take advantage of the liquidity provided by what they say, and how much retail is going to fall into the trap, basically. And I don't want to say it's market manipulation because that gets you in a lot of trouble just saying stuff like that. But you can't deny it either. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Nope.
Um, I always say to write things down on a post-it note, and the simple stuff of half and whole. Just put those two words on a post-it note, and it'll remind you. Every time you see a move, expect half back. It's almost unanimous. When you get an impulsive move, you get half back. Here you can see this impulse gave half back, accumulated, and then it gave the rest back. Hit liquidity. That's half of this back. It's all half, man. And then now we're back into support area. Come on, what's the next move? So I would suspect that we probably see, 79K being about the support level, and in the rest of this, maybe one more undercut of the daily 200, and we'll see if we find some buyers here to give it maybe a move back to 84.5 or so is pretty pertinent. To me, possibly 85.5 would be a good extension on that. But this doesn't say I'm a perma bull at all. This says let's scalp it, wait till this accumulates. We can play with price action just like anybody else. Ride their coattails and trade this. Use it to compound your cash pile so you can get in a better position later and have more leverage. As I always say, compound your positions when you get the opportunity to. Um, can we have more downside risk on Bitcoin should things fall apart? Possibly. If we smoke to 79, 78 level here, sure, we can make a twofer. There's the low right here. It's pretty obvious. Just look left, 68. Yeah, we could get there. That's possible. Trade it as it comes. Keep yourself nimble, and don't let it humble you, because it will move very quickly over the next few days, at least until this news comes out, I'm sure. And until then, don't go chasing it. Just scalp it. We know where the limits are. We know where the ranges are. Trade from one place to the other. Rinse, repeat. When it stops working, go to cash. Wait for the rest of it to tell you what to do. It'll give you a clue. Let's see here. Should we talk about Salesforce? That was an
I just got
interesting
out
one.
of my Salesforce.
So we were looking for a little bit of support here at 328. Didn't quite find it. Got a beautiful measured move right down to the 294.50 area where we were targeting before. If it broke, that's where we were looking. Now we're getting an extension on that a little lower. We'll probably find some more liquidity in this wick down here at 275. Let's look at the short term. That's about a 1.5 mm from the top down here. What's it tell us on the daily? Remember this zone? Half of that
Yeah,
sucker's
so
two.
I just sold it because it went below the 200 day.
Yep. And this doesn't feel like an undercut and rally yet. I think it's got a little further to go, probably around 275 to 278. That's about half the previous move we traded to the upside. Pretty easy move. Plus, if you look over here, back in like April of last year, that's about where accumulation happened anyway, right in that range. So likely to go there. Might be a decent short-term short, scalp it, but be nimble. It's under the 200. Be careful, because when the BTFD crew comes out, they don't mess around. They grab that liquidity. It might be your exit liquidity if you're smart. So
Mhm.
keep tabs on that. Keep an eye on that right around that level. In fact, I'm going to move drag this up to about where that half is. Yeah, or about 278, close enough. But we were looking at maybe it could be long and give us another wave and a big old flag here, but it certainly failed. It gave us a nice premium measured move down right to the next pivot. Pretty easy trade. MSTR, man. That was, I mean, it lagged Bitcoin's move so beautifully that you could have predicted MSTR with Bitcoin. And of
I
course,
actually like it here. I mean, it's holding up at the 200-day.
exactly. And, with what we just said about Bitcoin, it does have some downside risk. It can finish that move to the bottom, but MSTR does tend to lag that a little bit. So if it spikes down, we'll get a quick drop.
It's also coming back. You know what?
Test that 200. Yeah. Needless to
I
say,
might buy a little bit here. What do we got?
I'm thinking I was kicking myself when I announced that I sold some puts on MSTU, and I didn't think to grab some shares in the equity with it. I might be able to just change that tune right now. It's kind of getting close to my 450 strike anyway, so that might be a good idea for me if I'm going to wheel it.
I just bought a little.
If I'm going to wheel it, that's where I want to be. So I'll start looking for a quick reversion trade. Probably see MSTR push 270, maybe even as soon as today for kind of giving half back of this trend here. And then we'll see if we accumulate to the end of the week. Again, we got some stuff coming out pretty soon here in the political world of Trump might say no capital gains on crypto. Boy, that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That would give us some serious volatility. You ain't seen nothing yet if that comes out. So
yep.
Good time to sell premium, and I think MSTU is going to be a great wheel trade. And it's trading at like 4. It's so stinking low. Like I couldn't refuse getting into that at that price. That's a godsend right there, man. If I ever seen one.
Exactly.
So I will continue to wheel that, and like I said, I might add a little bit right in here, just right now. Moving into this though, be aware this is a broadening pattern at the bottom of a trend. Those tend to break bullish when at the bottom of a bearish trend, so I wouldn't short MSTU here. Just be aware that if Bitcoin takes a quick move down to grab liquidity, it'll go with it in a lagging fashion, and you might get more opportunity to sell some puts. So that's where I'm going to be waiting too. What else we got here? I touched on Apple, didn't I? I opened with it on my screen, but we didn't talk about it. That's right.
You know, this thing's trying to find a bottom.
It seems to be, and we've already got the announcement of okay, they're going to invest, what was it, 500 billion into being able to build some facilities to produce in the U.S. That kind of played out. That equity came from somewhere, obviously, or it at least tripped some investors to think it will. And now we've hit the middle of the 2 blocks here. We found support, bounced off. Daily 200 was never really tested, and it's still sloping pretty sharply up. Liquidity was grabbed right here to 230, pretty clean, nice little pivot area. And now we're hanging just above a liquidity zone. If we can hold this, we got a pretty good shot of at least going to the fib high up here around 240, 650 or so for a short-term reversal and a scalp back to the upside. Just be aware that there will be some resistance here. People are always looking at the same chart you are. And if we start to see some long wicks around that area, just be nimble, take some profit, and be ready for if it's going to break this, shoot to 250, 260. That's the next pivot level. If it rejects this one more time, that wouldn't be out of the norm to accumulate a little bit here first, and then maybe see some continuation later. Weekly chart's still pretty damn bullish. It's looking pretty good, but as with anything, tariff news could move this thing.
Yeah.
So be kind of keeping your ear to Twitter and see if Trump drops a tweet and starts talking about tariffs again. It happens. Right now, though, I like this reversal is almost confirmed. It's a very rough looking one with wicks all over the damn place. But so far, the buyers are pretty strong in this area, right in that liquidity zone. I think we've seen the bottom tested, and if we resume above half of this range here, which we just attempted here at about 240, we might see a nice little trend about it, at least short term, up to that 245, 246.50 level. That's what I can see with Apple. Um, are you still short in AMD?
I mean, I haven't been shorting it, but I haven't been buying it either.
Yeah,
Is
I'm,
that one?
I'm flat on AMD, but man, I wish I would have shorted that trip below 104.50. Man, that was a freaking smoke show. Give us another half move. 93.65 is the next pivot level. We've got a little short-term relief rally here. As you can see, we've got a primary, secondary was reached, half back is done. Watch for liquidity to get grabbed here for some more shorts to kind of smack that down. I think we got some unfinished business down here to like 93.50, 90, $94,
Not
somewhere in that neighborhood.
92.74
All right, that's a good number to call. Let me,
from October 2023.
ah, good eye. I forgot about that. That's where this low is, right down in here. Okay, I'll go with that, and then 93 we'll see for.
I mean, at some point, this is going to be a buy.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, now you're just catching a falling knife and like a perfect textbook downtrend.
Yes, and a glorious one to boot. Um, Not to say I didn't do well with that measured move. That was really good. I just I left a little money on the table. That's okay. I'm not going to fumble that, but I'm going to wait for a long. Eventually, it's going to give us one, and
Yeah, it
that's
was.
that's going to be pretty obviously in this range down here. 93, 92. We can get close enough and agree. I like it. Um, then there's Google. What are we going to do about Google? Oh, chart got ugly, but we're right down to the support on our previous block here. Can it give us a long too? Remains to be seen. So far, this is more of a relief rally than anything. Let's get the 2 hour out. If this ends up being a textbook double bottom and we break the high here of 174, sure, we've got a pretty good reversion trade or two in line. 177 is obvious. Maybe approach 185, 186 ish. But again, beware that this can kind of be a time to be nimble. You know, you're gonna see some quick volatility in this first before we really see anything follow through. But it's starting to show signs of we might get a decent swing trade either later in the week or next week showing up if this gives us a confirmed textbook double bottom reversal, which it's trying to. It's getting there. Give it some
I
time.
got out of most of my exposure. I do have a long call and a short put. Yeah, I mean, at least it's up today.
So Max 7's gonna be tugging at the heartstrings, so to speak, and
Yeah, I mean, Mag 7 across the board is going to be tough. You mentioned Tesla. I forgot to chime in. I mean, that broke the 200 day. I mean, I only had a little left. I got out of it.
yeah, I've been flat on Tesla since it hit that high. It got a little outside of my measured move mark. Oh gosh, that was back here in yeah, December, mid-December. And for now, I'm still waiting for this trend. I didn't really short it. I wanted to, but just I had capital deployed elsewhere, so I didn't really take that move. But I'm watching. I think it'll eventually give us a long around these ranges here, 244, 233, somewhere in that neighborhood. But yeah, it's chugging away with a nice downtrend so far. But probably a good idea to keep risk out of that for now, and then again, pay attention because if they decide to go with some kind of hybrid, that could really change things. And I'm not saying I can read Elon's mind, but he might start thinking like that. It's possible. He was very rattled by that trip to Toyota. Just don't ignore that. That's a fact, and we'll see what happens with that. Um, Any other Mag 7s kind of loading up here? Uh, Let me see here. Let's have a look at Microsoft. Oh, my son was like, dude, Microsoft gave too much control to Sony and blah blah blah. And like, yeah, they're more than just a game software company, but yeah, I
Yeah, I
get it.
got rid of all my Microsoft yesterday. I think, right? I don't think I've got any left.
It's so far below the 200 day that the 200 day is starting to curl over, so that might end up being like sideways and flat between 380 and 420 for quite a while before it recovers from this. But would I short it?
No, not down
Not
here.
here. Liquidity's right there. I mean, if we look at that previous low, that's where some buyers
Yeah,
were
no, the
before.
short was the break of the 200 day.
Right. That game's over, and now we're just waiting. We're below 1.5 MMs though. We did break that point down to the bottom of liquidity here. We got a little bit of the BTFD cruise showing up here, but I don't think this is anything more than just a relief rally from the downward trend. Just my honest opinion. That's still a pretty textbook downtrend. Um, Eventually, if we get to the bottom of that measured move and we start to find support there, that would be glorious. I mean, can you buy, you know, Microsoft at 370 and be happy? Possibly. That'd be a pretty good reset. And then Nvidia, man, oof, right to our red line. We've been mapping this liquidity zone out for too long. I deleted my 117 pivot for a little while, and then I brought it back today because I know that that's going to be a target should we bounce here. We did test that little LZ here down to 108.80, 109 more or less, respectfully. I don't see that as a reversal just yet, but we're starting to find some buyers in that range. Um, NVIDIA does have some production that takes place in the US already, even though it's shipped off to China to be packaged or put together into things that are usable. So they're making chips here and shipping them off to China to be packaged into various things, video cards, what have you. What would it take to put in a facility to package things in the US? How many billions is that going to cost? So can we finish business and maybe say Nvidia hits $100 even and then gives us a glorious opportunity to get long? That's very possible. I haven't been paying attention to the headlines much on that, but I'd like to say that the chart tells us that we still have some business here and we can see it go and test the rest of this liquidity zone and maybe even break down to $100, which is going to be the next zone down here. And I would probably very greatly consider myself a buyer at that point, just personally, for at least a half back on this thing and shoot to 120. That'd be pretty cool. But
Yep.
in the meantime, I'm wheel trading NVDX. I like selling premium, and that thing's got a glorious amount of premium in it. Thank you. um, Playing this move here, pretty easy. Get loaded on it at the bottom. Trade a reversion. I might start selling some calls later on and work with that. For now, I'm going to keep popping up those alerts when I do position changes. I'll keep getting the videos going. Been a little lax on it last week and the week before because I'm still recovering from whatever the hell this death bug I caught was. It still
I don't know. Same here.
still brings that lingering cough that gets worse as it gets towards nighttime, and my sleep's been kind of crappy. It's a mess, but I'm still wheeling, man. I just am not always able to go on video and start talking about it when I start looking like Gollum, So I don't know if you're a Lord of the Rings kind of person, but everybody knows who Gollum is. That creepy
Yeah, I
looking
mean, sort of.
dude. I start looking like that guy. I don't want to go on camera. That's just kind of mean. I don't want to abuse my audience like that. So anyway, stay tuned for some decent swings. They're coming. Be patient with this volatility. It's going to give you fits if you try to go and be an investor at this point. This is a scalper's market until things are said and done. As a day trader, I love a Trump market, but at the same time, I understand how frustrating it can be for a long-term swing guy. Um, Everything that I'm underwater with on some of my wheel trades, as far as my long-term investments goes, I more than make up for that scalping futures. So I don't worry about it too much. I just keep pushing premium, and I know I'm not looking in the next month. I'm looking years down the road with those things. So eventually, I get to own them for free, regardless of how far underwater I end up in the meantime. It happens. I'm a very patient guy that way. I'm no Warren Buffett, but you know, I know one of the other quotes that he likes to repeat, and I forget the original author, but the market is designed to transfer money out of the hands of the impatient and into the hands of the patient. I think that is a Warren Buffett one, and
Could
it's
be.
true. You give it enough time, it will give you fruit for your rewards, but sometimes it's going to take a long time, and sometimes you got to sweat for quite a while. And being in the wheel trade scenario, I get paid for that time, and that's why I do it. I sell premium, and it eventually pays for my positions. It just takes time, so it can go down further. I know TNA is, and I'll talk about TNA real quick here. Um, Pretty well low. I mean, 31, $32. Although that writing was on the wall, I didn't map it. There's a big primary move and accumulation here. The secondary move, it's been met at about $31. It's pretty close. So if you're sweating with me and you're long in TNA and you didn't start your position in March like I did, because my current cost basis is like stupid low. It's like $17 and change um, overall, so I could care. It could go down to like $20 and I'd still be, running premium on this thing. But for now, it may give us a little bounce here and give us a reversion trade to give you some relief, maybe back to like $36. It's coming pretty soon, I think. Small caps have been just absolutely just kicked in the groin for the past few months here, so it's got to give us a little relief at some point. It'll come. Um, Politically speaking, and I guess the Fed speaking, the interest rates are really what beat down a lot of the small caps, and they've been pretty high for a while now. Are we seeing any chance of a interest rate drop in the Fed? I'm I'm kind of lost on that. I don't know if you have any input on that.
So my favorite long has been TLT. Um, and I was talking to a reporter maybe last week. He was asking me, "Hey, what are the Trump trades beyond DJT?" And I'm racking my brain. I'm like, I at this point, I can't think of what a pure Trump trade is. You know what? It's TLT. The one
Yeah,
thing we know, and the one thing Besant keeps hitting on, is they want interest rates to come down. Um, my thinking is the Fed probably cuts. When, how many, this whole tariff thing muddies that water a lot.
right.
I do not think the Fed is raising rates. I mean, as much as Powell likes to say, "Hey, I'm independent and all this stuff," they don't want that shitstorm that's going to come from Trump the moment they raise rates.
Agreed.
So, probably my biggest position, if you combine, calls I own and puts that I've written, is on TLT.
It's a good trade. And we were over at the BB. We were talking about it way back here, and dude, it's followed through beautifully. I mean, it's almost like a shooting fish in a barrel situation with TLT. Measured move wise, it kind of came just above a half a move and came back to test support. So like $92 should be pretty reasonable support if we continue here. Um, that reversion target's still pretty obvious. It's a little bit of an upper edge reversion target, but I'm still standing by 94.40 is pretty reasonable for extension on this. However, we have just about come up to the fib level of this previous high here, so we may see some accumulation for a little while here. And again, if the Fed does cut, sure, this will be a great time to take profit, but they're kind of trying to stand and hang out as long as they can, as far as I can see. at some point the pressure is going to snap something. So we might see a little pullback in that. But for now, it's still a great long. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't deny that. That's a pretty good swing. Watch this level around 92.25-ish, and that's about middle of our measured move block here. Accumulate for a little while, likely to produce one more impulse move, maybe see about 93.50 in the next couple of weeks, and then go from there. If it rejects in here, though, and starts to come back, well, take some of your risk off. It's that simple. So I would say if rates start getting threatened to be cut, we know what that game looks like too. So play it by ear. That's all we can do. And that's what we got on that one. Any other tickers that come to mind here? Let me hit up the YouTube people. Anybody watching got a ticker for me to look at? We love taking the requests. I know Mr. Greenberg over there sent me a pile of them this morning to look at. Let me see if I can
Take
find
a
one.
look at GitLab.
Is that GTLB?
Yep. I bought that this morning.
Nice bounce. I haven't charted this thing in
I mean,
forever.
undercut and rally for 200 day.
Beautimous. 2 hour here. Aha. Halfback target 61.60. Pretty easy. Playing it right in there. Maybe 62.25 would be the upper edge of that, but I'm going to go for the fib level here. 61.50. Good swing. Can it go a little further? I'd say watch for accumulation there. It might give us another move back up to this little bit of LZ right up here. There'd definitely be some profit takers in that range around 65.
Yeah, I'm doing another one.
Cool beans. Nice trade. I totally missed this one. And these guys
So
do
far,
something along one of our themes, don't they?
So yeah, they're software.
Gotcha. Let's see here, previous accumulation. We could see probably an extension in this too. Look for, got a little bit of a profit-taking mark right around 62.50 to 63 as well. Just looking at the wick here on a daily chart, right in there. I'm willing to bet the 50 period will fall right to the top of that over the next few days and probably give us that target. So right around 63.40 once it gets past this extension, if it does. Cool beans. Great chart. I mean, the technicals look crappy on the weekly, but on the daily, it just fills right out. Undercut and rally on the 200. Easy setup. Let me see here. I'll probably take a short-term look at QQQ here in a moment. Get back to YouTube.
Yeah, VST is another one that I bought. Also undercut and rally for 200-day Vistra.
VST. Vistra Corp. Ah. Yeah, that printed probably a nice doji on the 200. That's got some wings left in it. We could see it run back to, let's see here, first resistance. Let me go to the 4-hour chart. That gives us more data. There we go. Looking for 135. Good short-term play. There's alpha after all. That's a good swing. Watch for a break above resistance here around 127.60, previous pivot low. And we wicked it here with this big old spinner on the 4-hour. But if we close a really nice doji here, likely going to see a move back towards the top of this previous bar on the daily here. And short-term target like 133 to 135 is pretty good range. My sinuses are like clicking. Sorry. This lingering cough is going to kill me, I swear.
Yeah, no, I mean, last night was the first night in a while I wasn't coughing all night, so that was good.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm not hacking my lungs up yet. I don't see any blood or anything, but it's I don't want to be too graphic for you guys, but yeah, these bugs, don't get them. Stay away from the public. So I like to look at the 15-minute chart here, and we can see that for day traders, they're about done with it here. And if we break out of this, it's a pretty easy shot running to like 127.60, the previous pivot. And then if we resume, reversion trade is like 135.40. Nice play on that one.
They're gonna try to bottom this.
That's what it's
The only
looking like.
question is, do the sellers come in?
Right. And with relief rallies, as far as day traders go, I mean that's where the shorts are waiting. They love that. I mean, look at the opening candle here. It went almost right to that previous pivot low, and then they sold it. Um, but they're covered here. I think we've got a pretty good. We would almost call this the inverse head and shoulders pattern here, and there's the neckline. So strength is starting to build here. As long as they don't whack it down again from the top, we should see it at least touch the pivot here. Pretty good play. Let me see here. I got time for maybe a couple more. I'm trying to dig up that thing that Howard sent me. Hold on one second here. There it is. Oracle. That's right. I almost forgot about that one.
Oracle.
So we're looking for a little reversal here, and we want to see a nice reversion trade. 1-for-1's done. I don't have to draw. You can see that pretty easy. Reversion target like 163 is pretty obvious for an extension into this angular, but be modest around 161, 162. If we get a nice reversal here, that's a pretty sweet reversion trade. I like that. That might be a decent setup.
Yeah, I'm not a fan here.
Let me look at the weekly and the daily before I open my mouth too much here. It is under the 200. We'll have to watch the close today and tomorrow. If we get a nice tweezer bottom here, 2 bars here, right across the 200, then it'd be go time. But
Yeah, I mean, if it comes back above the 200-day, yeah, there are a couple of kilos it didn't breach today. It came close.
and let me look at the weekly again. So this was a previous wedge here, and we played these. These were easy. Back down. There's the return to half rejection. It's got potential to reverse here. We'll keep an eye on it. Now watch that bar, watch that 200, and then let's make this the red zone. That's obvious right here where the sellers are, or where the buyers would be, or the shorts would cover. Little zone right here. So keep an eye on this. If we hold this today, watch tomorrow for maybe a good swing up and then reversion trade if it breaks that 200 on the daily again. That might be a decent, easy trade. We'll have to check back at into this one on Thursday and see if we were right on that one. But that's a pretty good setup for me. I just need to wait for the follow through, and it's tapping right off that LZ there. Be nimble, but it's looking good so far. 15-minute chart. I know you're more of a longer term swing trader than I am, but this is saying I should day trade this. Huh. Yeah, I like it. I might take a little swing on this one. I might even overnight it. We'll see. All right, I'll keep an eye on it. We'll check back on Thursday and see how I did.
Yeah.
And then one other one that was interesting. I looked at Home Depot. I didn't like it. Tesla, we talked about. Let's see here. CVX and BX. What the heck is that? Oh, Chevron. That's right. Getting into the oil swings. I've been like steering clear of everything oil based this year. It's just
I like EQT.
yeah, that one I might do. Let me do a comparison real quick here with Chevron. I don't like the chart much for swing, but there will be some interest here to maybe come back for a short-term reversion to like 154. It's just not a very big move. I mean, it's like less than $2 from here. but it's nice to track it. Let's look at EQT. Oh, baby. Right off our pivot. Yeah, $50, 49.50 was the next pivot back from this range. How the hell did I forget about this? We scalped the crap out of this in the past, and now it's getting hot again. I like it. Let's look for a move up to about $50 from here to finish this 49.50 swing here. And if we can break that, we may see it hit the top of the box again and hit 53.50 over here. That's a pretty obvious target if we break out here. And that would be right under the fib level of the previous high. I like a play on this one. That's looking good. All right, let's put the QT on the list here to watch and check back on Thursday with. There's one more that Howard mentioned. Which one was it? BX. I don't know what that is. Let's find out.
It's
Oh,
Blackstone.
Okay.
Yuck.
Yeah. Darn it. Oh, it's.
Am I in Apollo? I'm not in Apollo, but no, yeah, too.
Yeah, I'm not really keen on a lot of the real estate holdings yet.
Remember, I mean, this is private equity. It's a mix of
Right,
things.
right.
So they were running up when everyone was trying to figure out how to get private equity into ETFs, and now they're getting killed with everything else.
That makes me wonder how Zillow looks. I love running tangents on stuff. That's not so good. It's in a holding pattern here. There was a time where I shorted the crap out of Zillow when they started trying to flip houses. That was great. But
Yeah.
now, I'm not really a bull on it. But if it's a good short, it'll show up on the weekly chart, and it's got to break this level and start eating this bar here. We might see that thing hit 60 if it breaks support here, but support's kind of critically at 70, so $10 move worth it? In the options chain it is. Keep an eye on it. It might. If rates stay where they're at, and if the can keeps getting kicked down on the road on whether or not they're going to cancel federal income tax, yeah, we're definitely going to see the real estate market dissolve. So Zillow with it. At least they're not flipping houses anymore, right? Because that was freaking glorious shorting this thing back in that time. Oh God, that was like printing money. Now we're just kind of, I'm not that interested in it, but it might be a good short again. So pay attention. I wouldn't short it here until it starts breaking support, but yeah, it's threatening. We'll keep an eye on interest rates and whether or not we can abolish the Fed. Well, federal income tax anyway. Be nice. Wishful thinking. Although flat tax doesn't really appeal to a lot of people for like sales tax,
Yeah.
I think it does as long as it stays away from the real estate and housing market. Like property tax would be a great thing to get rid of too. That'd be
Yep.
cool. We'll wait and see. I'm not going to hold my breath because I'd probably die long before that happens. But you know, keep an eye on it. It might get interesting. Let's see. We got time for like one more here. See if there's anything that kind of intrigues me here. Have a look at nuclear, maybe.
I just get out of Oklo again. I just got out of Oklo again.
And then he's heading to our support level around $25.
I mean, SMR. That's an interesting one.
Ooh, way under the 200 weekly. Well, let me see here. I'll keep an eye on it around $28. Say right in this level here.
What I really like here is BWXT.
28, 25. Let's have a look at BWXT. Sorry, my chicken pecking fingers for punching keys don't always work. If I can find my home keys, I can type. Back in the high school days, I used to be able to hit 40 per minute, but those days are gone. um, let's see, BWXT here. We have a previous move. We're right in support. That could be setting up for a halfback on the weekly here. Let's see what the daily looks like. 1-for-1's done. Get a nice double bottom here. Let's play high
An
low meet.
undercut and rally at that February 14th low.
I like it. That might be a decent setup. Let's see here.
This Ballard is up like 3% since we bought it. Oh no, 2.18%. I'm up on my Ballard.
This could be a good reversion trade to like 111. 111 long term. I'll drag a pivot down. And then let's see what the 2-hour tells me. Could grab a little more liquidity around 99 bucks and we could see that thing give us a nice bounce. We got a 3-bar forming here. We got a bar, the spinner, the bar, Morningstar setup, 2-hour chart. Break resistance of 101.50, and we got a pretty good shot of short-term reversion to like 104. And then break that and we'll start trending. We could see it hit the fib 108 and then 111 is the ultimate reversion target. I like it. Good setup. Just dirty enough to consider scalping it.
There's a few things that are starting to look interesting here. May do a little bit of bottom fishing. Just a little bit.
Let me pull up my Discord here. Someone sent me a message or tagged me. Ah, yeah, got it. Oh, there we go. So let's see here. A lot of people, if you haven't pulled risk off by now, you're a little late to take risk off if you're trying to conserve capital here. Let me go to QQQ for a moment. We've got like a few minutes left here. So we've talked about the undercut and rally on the 200. The 200-day on Q is still strong. We're not in a bear market yet, guys. We know we can hit these reversion targets. The low range here is like 484. Currently, we're looking for support at 492, 493. That's the half back pivot of that whole trend I talked about earlier. But if you sell at the bottom of this after kind of getting long in any of these areas, you're kicking yourself. If anything, start looking to sell some premium in here, but then again, covered calls and cash secured puts on Q and SPY aren't that great. The percentage is like less than 2%. It's just not worth the yield. Plenty of other things to do that with. I know a lot of people went and grabbed big positions in the Mag 7, and they've been kind of hanging in there, but those would be a little more pertinent to sell some premium on. Maybe look at selling some out of the money cash secured puts, or maybe some put credit spreads right below the 200 and maybe a little extended, so they're out of the money enough to where you don't have to worry about them so much, just to kind of accumulate a little bit of a return on this drop here. Another strategy that you might consider, at this point it's kind of in the low range, but it'll protect you in the short term. Run a collar. Go run the call side of it in weeklies, probably like 2 to 3 weeks out, and then use that to pay for your put at a lower strike. And usually you can get a net credit on those with running a monthly or like 6 weeks out on the put side. Collars might be a strategy you can do to protect any further downside here. But if you hadn't done that already, that's kind of your last resort, unfortunately. But not everybody's an options trader. So for now, sit tight. We're at the 200. If anything, you might get some opportunities to go long in the next week or two here. I think there's some pretty good things setting up as far as both Mag 7 goes and a lot of general equity. So we'll get some opportunity, but we're not in a bear market yet. This is just a pullback. It's looking like it's supposed to. It's given half back. It's found support. We're not really bearish yet. If things start smoking at 200, and in the past you've seen it done that before. Well, let me go to the daily. Zoom way the hell out. We've seen that before. Sure, that's a bear market. That's a continuation of the bear market. Yes, beautiful. But comparatively, look at the 200. See how steep it is? It's still holding a nice clean trend. It's got plenty of room. Has done that before. Until it smokes it and then rejects it later, we're still bullish. We're not in a bear market. So when all of the chicken littles out there are clucking and saying the sky's falling, this is normal. This is just a pullback. Don't go chasing the analysts. Look at the chart. The chart tells you everything. All right, shall we wrap? I hate to be that.
Yeah, I bought a little bit of Amazon, some BWXT, and some Marvell.
Nice.
If they do rally this, those are three names that'll go up and won't kick my ass.
They're clutch in a moment, and Amazon's right on that 200. Beautiful move.
There you go.
Sweet. So sorry we weren't too excited today, but we've got some ability to keep a cool head in this type of situation with the market, and there's opportunities here. There's a whole thing of a whole list of things that should be on a shopping list for those who want to invest long term, and I think we're getting some discount prices, y'all. It's on sale. Some people
Yep.
say things like that. It's funny, but yeah, we do too occasionally. So anyway, stay tuned. Thursday we're going to do episode 3 of Rebel Finance, and I'm excited for that because that's a whole new spin on what we do here. It focuses more on the investment style that you've mastered and the heat strategy, and boy, it's making a difference for a lot of people. I hope. So we'll keep doing that. I love that. Thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Oh, not a problem. I think we got some good momentum. We got Frances Stacy on as a guest. She's brilliant on market stuff. So
Sweet.
see what she's got to say.
Gonna be a bright future. I'm loving it already. Well, again,
Future
thanks for
looks bright. Oh shoot, that's a PBD podcast.
nice. We don't want to get slapped for copyright infringement or anything like that.
No.
Well, right on. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks again for joining us, and I think we've got some things to look forward to, not just in the market, but in the spaces that we're in. We're starting to really gain some momentum and showing we're being shown a little bit of love for it. Thank you guys. Really appreciate your supports, and let us gain some likes and beat the YouTube algorithm and start making some headway here. We're getting closer and closer on the BB side to approaching that 100,000 subscriber mark. Thank you so much for that. When we start breaking that, I think things are going to be incredible for us, and we're going to in turn be able to do more incredible things for you. So thanks